Yes. Okay, everyone. I think we will start this session. Yeah, officially, I will start this session with maybe in ceremonial.
Please, as
Okay.
you do, please don't let me get in between whatever you're
Okay.
doing.
Okay.
Please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Distinguished Professor, Prof. Fauziah, and my beloved students. It is my great pleasure to hear as a moderator of our class, online class, inviting Prof. Fauziah from University Sains Malaysia, USA. And this is our first session from 2 weeks ahead that will discuss the issue of the monetary structure and its implication on the cost of living. Okay, let me introduce myself. I am Ihda Arifin Faiz. Maybe you can call me Ihda. And we will to thank to Prof. Fauziah for today's class material. Prof. Fauziah is professor in accounting at USM. Prof. Yeah, Prof. Fauziah has so much experience in academia and practice. To mention of them, it is in public information that provided of USM. Prof. Fauziah also been in chairman of the Accounting Dean Council, and also has experience in vice president of the Asian Academy of Management, the vice president of Malaysian Accounting Association, and also some academic journal in the Asian Academy of Management journal, and also in Journal of Financial Reporting and Accounting some previous years here for. And now maybe I will introduce our program, Prof, a little bit. The
Please.
Public Sector Accounting, or PSA program, is an undergraduate degree at Universitas Gadjah Mada that delivers practical accounting to the public sector. So we belong in the vocational college, same level with faculty, but applied oriented, applied oriented to the scientific. So we must adopt the practicum curriculum than the academic. Every year we receive around 100 students and divided into two classes and 40 and 50 students each. Last year there were 3,000 and around 3,600 candidates. However, we just accepted 30 students from them in national examination from the higher education. So we last year the competitiveness is about 1 and 42%, so they can join to our program. It is so competitive for us. And in our university last year we ranked fourth rank in the competitive index for entering the program study. So vocational college is a faculty level school in Universitas Gadjah Mada. It is a place where the all program studies in UGM offer practical skills in many areas of study, including engineering, health, information, geography, economics, and business. And the most distinct from vocational college with faculty are skill practical oriented, that the domain use of practicum in the curriculum adopt in this program study. So before starting our class, it is our code of Prof to start our session or class with prayer. So let's start with prayer for success and the impact of session, please. Okay, this is all a little bit about our session and our program in program study of public sector accounting. Okay, without further ado, let's welcome Prof. Fauziah. Time is yours, Prof.
Thank you, Eda, for your very kind introduction, and also your gratitude. I mean, I'm grateful to the fact that you are inviting me to be here, to be sharing a little bit of knowledge or experience that I have with these young, up and coming future Indonesian leaders. Alhamdulillah. Anak-anak semua, apa kabar?
Good, baik.
Terima kasih, terima kasih. Mungkin malu-malu untuk berbicara, tak perlu. bisa aja berbicara. Kalau saya nggak paham, minta dosennya terangkan.
Yeah, bro.
Okay, before I start, I am very impressed. I'm very impressed with Indonesian student. Look at you. You switch on all your cameras. You're brave. For me to know you, get to know you. This is, to me, I see sense of motivation. You're highly motivated, wanting to learn something new, which is good. Unfortunately, I cannot say the same to the Malaysian students. They are very shy. They rather stay under the radar so that they can do something else in between. Oh, I don't know.
Multitasking.
Well, a bit of my background, girls and boys, ladies and gentlemen. This is my 28 years working at University Sains Malaysia. Before University Science Malaysia, I was teaching at Lancaster University in England. Before that, I was working in a corporate sector. I'm not sure whether you know, this is one of the biggest conglomerates in Malaysia called Sains. So I have a bit of experience to share, but I'm sure I can learn a lot more from all of you. When I scroll to the name of participant, I see two students with a similar name like mine. Alkansa Fauziah, another is Fauziah something. So welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. So when your docent asked me to share some of the knowledge, I'm also teaching accounting theory at USM, but ours is a little bit different in terms of approach. So I thought, why not I share something different rather than you be bogged down by all this reading? Let's make some sense out of what is happening around the world. Because as an accountant, you don't just keep the books, you don't just do the bookkeeping. Now with AI, things are very easy. You don't have to do it. But more importantly, the role of an accountant is to make sense, to see what is happening around the world, to connect and look at your financial statement, and we'll be able to make hopefully better decision making. So this is what I'm going to share with you this very morning. Hey, let's look around us. What is happening recently in Indonesia, not with the bintang film, not with the actress or actors, but rather economic wise. What is happening in Indonesia? Anyone? What did you notice?
We
Please.
have an efficiency program from the president to most of the public and also to the government sector in Indonesia.
Okay, so you do not think they are efficient enough? Is it, Anissa?
Sorry?
Do you think your government is not efficient enough?
No, now it's the new president. We have a new president that have been and then he has a program like an efficiency program. So like he cuts off some of the fund for the another government, another sector.
Ministry.
Yeah. Yes. So right now is currently the funding from the country to those government is like been cut off. So
just like Donald Trump. Just like Donald Trump
something like that. Yes, it's supposed to be like that.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Anissa. Very good. Let's hear from some other people, because I don't want this to be just listening. When we listen, we don't learn as much. But when we listen, we interact, we speak, we learn a lot more. Let's hear from you. What are your concerns with regard to your country, economy, and way forward? Here you are in your third year. Soon, one more year, you'll be graduating. Do you think you can find job easily in Indonesia? What do you all think? Kita nggak ada pria di sini ya.
Mostly in girl.
It's legal. Because I saw a couple, one or two just now, but okay, we have Irian, we have Putra.
Putra, okay, Putra.
Please. What do you all think? What are your concerns as a youngsters? You're going to be joining the workplace. What worries you? Apa yang membimbangkan kalian antara perkara utama yang kamu berasakan? Oh, aduh, ini susah sekali. Membimbangkan.
Yeah.
Gimana?
Anyone? C or Putra?
Semua masih malu. Gitu.
Aduh.
Dosennya nggak malu.
Ayo.
Dalam kelas saya, in my class, he's very actively talking. So you emulate your lecturer.
Yeah.
Do you think job can easily be found in Indonesia? If you go out today, go to work, you find work easily can be found? Yes, no?
Just said Kaila.
I think no, it will be hard for us to find a job because right now, like the tariff by Donald Trump is affecting almost like all sector in Indonesia. I mean, especially the energy or like the rare, they're using a rare materials or like a products from overseas because the dollars are really high in Indonesia. So it will affecting all of the companies. So they will hire less people because of the tariff.
Yeah. Excellent, Kayla. I like your answer. I like the fact that you brought up the issue on tariff because that is something as a student in business, as students in accounting, you must know. So tariff means prices is going to be more expensive than what they were. Already in the last 2 months, Indonesia has experienced a huge drop in foreign currency. You understand what I'm saying? So instead of 1 million rupiah to $1, now 1 million rupiah maybe can garner maybe 80 cents. I'm not sure of the rate. But even without tariff, already Indonesian would feel the pinch, how difficult, because what used to cost you 1 million rupiah now may cost you 2 million rupiah. This you have not factored in the tariff. What is the Indonesian tariff that Trump is giving you all? Do you all know? Like in Malaysia, we are subjected to 24%. How about in Indonesia?
I think it's 32, but after the negotiation, it's not going down, but going up around 40.
Thank you. Thank you, Kayla. You seems to be the one most, or were you the one who responded just now? 32%? Yes, 32%.
32 and now 47.
47. It is ridiculous, isn't it? I will explain to you why later this happened. Malaysia is only subjected to 24%. Singapore is just 10%. How about Thailand? Can you all check what's the Thailand's tariff?
is 36%.
Sorry, 36?
Yes.
Yep. Even worse than Indonesia, isn't it? How about Philippines?
It's only 17%. 17.
17 or 18%. This is why I said, I will explain to you why. And how about China? Anyone knows about China's Trump's tariff? Can you go your chat GPT and find out what's the rate?
The last news stated that it's 245, and then right now the news is still going on, stated that the tariff is being waived or something until 0%. But I don't know the official tariffs right now.
Yep. Yep. Oh dear. I mean, when I check, it's 145% for China. Trump imposed 145%. And the moment Trump announced tariff, what happened to the stock market around the world? The commodity market, stock market, they lost. NASDAQ in one day, they lost $3 billion. So people were so scared, people panicked, people just dumped the shares. So this is the topic of our discussion today, not on tariff, but why are things getting more expensive? Do you not feel that last time you used to pay for your lunch, you may pay just, I do not know what's the rate in Indonesia. Now you're going to have to pay more than that, don't you? When you were small, maybe you buy a loaf of bread for just minimal. Now the amount has gone double or triple. Why? So I'm going to share with you, Ada, with your permission, I'm sharing my slide.
Yes, Prof. Please,
Yep.
you can.
I hope you'll be able to see my screen. Let me put on slideshow. Yep, big enough for everyone?
Yes, it's good, Prof.
So we're going to talk about here the monetary structure. We do not know the system. I doubt many students even bothered. But here I'm telling you, we must now learn. Why are things getting expensive day by day? But before you do that, I like to invite all of you to open your heart, open your mind, and bring your soul together with you. Because if you don't do that, chances are whatever we're about to learn will just pass through your ears and then it sit in there for a few minutes, maybe half an hour, maybe one day at most, and then it will just leave you. Why? Then you have to come back for another lecture. Why is this? Because these are all scientifically backed up in sync with the word of your God. So, if you want to learn something seriously, you need to open your heart. Because whatever we are about to learn, if it touches your heart, it will be there for a longer time. If it doesn't, it means it's just going to stop by and bye-bye. So that's the reason why we say when we love someone, we put a heart. Because what goes into the heart will be there a long, long time. Okay? I don't have time to explain the rest. We'll have to arrange for another session for that. Okay. And I'm going to show you this picture. This is what is happening in the world right now, right? Every day they are killing all these Gazan people in Gaza. And then they mention self-defense. Do you know that when it first happened, everybody was saying, including the expert in warfare, are saying, oh, the Hamas has gone sophisticated. But only one person said, no, 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 this was a trap by the Mossad. The Mossad is the Israel IDF, the police or the secret service of Israel. So true enough, after 10 months gone past, they have got evidence to indicate that all these were planned by Israel. So this is what we are saying. They bomb hospital, but they say, hey, we already warned you, so you need to leave the hospital. How can you leave when you are amputated, when you don't have leg to run, when you are sick? So this is what is happening in the world. And I'm glad Kayla has mentioned this tariff. So my question to you, is this beginning of the end times? Is this the beginning of World War III? Is this the beginning of the next crisis? So I want you to think, because here, if we learn, we listen, we never learn. 5% only remain. The remaining 95% will be gone. But if you listen, you think, you ponder, and you reflect, inshallah, you learn a lot more. So this is what is happening around the world. You see everywhere there's geopolitical tension, a lot of instability. Prices are rising. There's a lot of uncertainty, economic disruption. AI for once will take over all of your job. So the first entry level as an account executive will no longer be available. I would say in many countries, no longer, but maybe in this part of the region, maybe the next 2-3 years, it'll be out when AI is fully in charge. So I want to ask you, do you understand how the monetary system works? No. Majority of us would say no. Even if I ask your docent here, he would say, I can guess, but I can never know for facts, for sure. All right? Everyone can understand my accent? My English is okay with you? Or do you want me to speak an English? Do you understand how the monetary system works? Here, I'm just using my Malaysian accent. So even without all these crises that we are seeing, day by day, prices are getting more expensive. And we see when we ask the government why things are getting more expensive, and your government would say, oh, because of high inflation. Why the high inflation? Do you know what's the inflation rate in Indonesia now? Can somebody Google or chat GPT and ask what's the inflation rate in Indonesia now? Anybody who knows, please share with me. What's the rate?
It's 0.76% per January to 2025.
1.76. Are you sure? Let me ask ChatGPT. Did you use ChatGPT to ask? Maybe different sources will give us a different results, but it's about 2.4% year on year in February. So that's a lot. 2.4% is not just 2 cents more. That means it's rising year on year. Okay, I want to ask you, what causes the rising prices or the rise in cost of living? And I'm going to put to you 4 reasons why this happened. First, what we call fiat money. Do you know what fiat money is it? Second, we have fractional reserve banking. Then we have interest rate compound. And then we have oversupply of money. Let us talk about interest rate compound. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already mentioned repeatedly in Quran and his book of divine. In the book of divine, he said, riba is haram. And whoever engage in riba will be like a drunken person. And Allah declare wars to those who engage in riba. But I want you to look around you. Anything that doesn't involve riba in your life? We have so-called Islamic bank, but even in this Islamic bank, the underlying profit that they're going to charge you depend on the interest rate yield. In other words, we Muslims do not have an alternative other than the system created by this kuffar. So we are also, whether we like it or not, we are part of it. Of course, we try to engage in no riba transaction. We call it by different names, but the mechanics of it, if you have gone and studied in Islamic finance, more or less the same. We are trying, the world is trying, but so far we are making a little bit small step, but for how long, I wonder. But let's talk, that's the number one, which I'm not going to talk in detail. This is not just prohibited. The right word for it in English is forbidden. It's a forbidden practice. It's something that is not, utterly not acceptable. What is fiat money? Fiat money is what you are holding, your rupiah, your paper notes. Even there may not be in notes, even Bitcoin, you know. All these are money, but they are not backed by real asset. Those days, we do transaction in dirham and dinar. What is dirham and dinar? Do you all know? Dirham is gold. Dinar is silver. So when we transact in gold and silver, those are real assets. If anything happened to you, you can take this gold and exchange for food, for whatever you like. But if fiat money, if you, let's say, your house is on fire and the whole stack of money that you see here got burnt, can you recourse? You have nothing. It's gone. So because it is not redeemable for real asset like gold, therefore the value of this rupiah, the value of this dollar can easily lose. You can lose because the activity are not going in tandem with economic activity. And what I'm about to show you here is the equation. Don't worry about it. This is what we call the equation of exchange, where M is the quantity of money that are available in the market. We multiply by V. V is the velocity. That means how many times the money is circulated in the economy. So if you take M times V, that should be equal to P times Y. What is Y? Y is the real economic output of goods and services. Normally we measure the as at GDP, goods, gross domestic product, GDP. So the P here, what is P? P is the balancing figure. So that means in order for this equation to be balanced, so M times V equals to Y. If Y is insufficient, the remaining is P. This is what they call general price level, or we call it in a layperson's term as inflation. This is inflation. So in other words, your amount of money and how many times it goes into circulation equals to your gross domestic product. If it's not sufficient, the balance will be called inflation. So nowadays, here is small, here is getting bigger. So that's why you are feeling the pinch. So what is inflation? Inflation is newly created money, mostly are given to the wealthier people. If you are very rich people, the banks will offer you, do you want to take loans? Do you want to have additional credit? We are willing to give you. But if you're poor, you don't have anything, the banks will not be offering, let alone offering to you to take loans. Even when you apply for loan, they'll reject. Because in their eyes, you're not credit worthy. You don't have something to back. For rich people, they have plenty of assets that they can redeem. So the other thing that we are seeing, we thought Indonesian central banks create money. That is myth. Facts is private bank creates money. In reality, this is a statistic that I got from Bank of England. Central bank in reality only create 5% of the nation's money supply. 95% is outsourced and created by the private sector. Who are the private sector? They are banks. So every time we make loan or we use our credit card, more money is being created. Next, I'm going to explain to you about fractional reserve banking. What is the so-called fractional reserve banking? These are the rules when commercial banks are allowed to lend out money that they collected from you less than what they have in deposit. So in other words, when you put in money, you deposit money into the bank will keep it. We thought out of our money that we lend to the bank will then lend it out to those who in need of money. But I'm going to show you in a while that is all wrong. It's all myth and presumption. So I'm going to talk about money multiplier. This is what fractional reserve banking. It is a money multiplier that is calculated in multiple by 1 over the reserve ratio. Don't worry about it. And I'm going to show you an accounting magic in a while. And this have extra interest-bearing loan. Let's see. When you learn accounting, you thought you are doing all the services. But these are the accounting entries that mess the whole world. Please pay attention and please listen carefully over what I'm going to show to you. Let's say this is, I call it Icon Bank. You know, they con people, so I call it Icon Bank. So when we deposit our money into the bank, let's say, so the bank receives the money that we deposited in the accounts. So bank will debit cash, will credit capital, 25 million. Debit cash, credit capital. Okay? So to indicate that bank has received cash from us, and therefore this become equity or capital. Next. Fractional reserve banking says that you cannot lend out the 25 million that you've collected from your depositors. You can only lend 90% and keep 10% in the reserve. So when you have 25 million as your capital and you need to put in reserve 10%, so when you do 10% multiplied by 25 million, so that means you must put in a reserve 2.5 million, and the remaining 22.5 million can now be loaned out to whoever is interested to get loans. So when we loan this out, we'll credit cash because we give our cash away, and we debit debtors, right? I've not introduced anything sophisticated just yet. These are the normal accounting entry that anyone would do if you're working in a bank. So when we draft up this financial statement, on your left is capital 25 million, on your right is 22.5 million that we have already loaned out. And then we have another reserve that we keep in the bank, 2.5 million. Together, they make up 25 million, right? Can everybody follow? You have any question up to this point? Right. Now, the secret. This is what bank should be doing. But what bank actually do is this. So they will put in capital 25 million, they put reserve 25 million, and then they loan out 225 million. And when we balance this out, 250 million, and then suddenly we have this additional account that we call credits into deposit accounts of 225 million. My question to you, where did the 225 million come from? Anybody would like to try and solve this magic? How does it work? How come we started off with just 25 million and then we ended up with 250 million? How did it all happen? Anybody? Shall I show again? I'll go back. This is where we started. We have 25 million. People put in their money into our banks. So we debit cash, credit capital. So we have cash, asset, 25 million. And our liabilities in terms of our capital, 25 million. Fractional reserve banking say, let's say the ratio is 10%. So you can only loan out 90% of the amount that you receive. And 10% must be kept in the reserve. So which is 10% of 25 million is 2.5 million, which means we have remaining 22.5 million to be given out as loan. Anybody who wish to apply for loan to the bank, they can now apply, and we can give a maximum of 22.5 million. So when we tally our financial statement, on our left is still 25 million, and our right is also 25 million, but it comprises of 10% reserve, 2.5 million, and 90% in borrowings. That brings up to the total 25 million. This is what banks are supposed to do. But unfortunately, banks are not doing that. What they did is this. So they have 25 million in capital. So they said, okay, we reserve 10%, and then we loan out 225 million. And suddenly we have, in order to make the accounts balance on the right, on the left, we are introducing this 225 million credits into deposit account. Can anyone explain to me Where did the $225 million come from? I'm going to see if Indonesian students are smart enough to catch me on this. Excuse me, I'll drink a bit of water. Anybody who would like to try? And your time, I'm going to give you 1 minute. Why don't we try? Never say never. Indonesians are good. Come on. Anybody?
I want to answer, Miss.
Please.
I think the 225 millions come from the fractional reserve banking process. Essentially, is created through by the lending process. So if I can explain, the bank start with 25 million in capital, actual cash. So if the reserve requirement is 10%, the bank must keep 10% of deposit as reserve and can lend out the remaining of the 90%. So the bank keeps 2,500 million as reserve from the 10% of 25 million and lend outs from the 22,500 million. So that's come from the loan out will likely be deposit bank into the banking system, either this bank or another, and 90% of that can be re-loaned again. So this process, I think, can we call this process is rebate. So the 2,125 million come from the banking system multiplying the original 25 million via the lending. So this is the essence of fractional reserve banking. Bank create money by issuing loans far in excess of their actual cash reserve, I think.
Okay, Andita, very good for trying. I like that. And I like the spirit because your docent has said, this is a very competitive program. So show me how competitive you are. If you're really competitive, like he said, so I'm sure many would step up and try to explain. Thank you, Andita, for trying. Do you have any more explanation other than Andita's? Or dosennya mau coba? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
All right. Looks like not so competitive. Only one person come forward. So that means not competitive enough. When I was teaching in England, I used to have American, English, Hong Kong, Singaporean, Malaysian, many. They are competing against one another. So when I ask in class, many would wish to answer. And I want to see how Indonesian students, your lecturer says they're very competitive. You are very competitive. It's difficult to get in, and you got in. So you must be very good.
Yeah.
How come I'm not hearing any more responses than just one from Andita?
Okay, anyone?
So, Prof, maybe I would like to add
Thank you.
a bit to that.
Thank you, Jay.
So I would agree to the Andita's statement. It was created from the process of the fractional reserve banking, and in this case is the 10%. So I would say like it is started with the 25 million in capital, and the bank lends out about 22.5, which then get redeposited into the banking system and reloaned multiple times. And this cycle of lending and depositing expands the money supply, allowing the bank to create up until 250 million into total money. So the additional 225 million shown in the PowerPoint is not a physical cash, but rather than it is like a credit through the repeated lending process.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay. Excellent. Very good. When I say that, and only a gentleman came forward and rescued the whole team. Thank you, Jay. Let's see how it works. Let's see how the magic works. So the point I'm going to highlight, if you notice, we only have 25 million to begin with, right? So we have 25 million here. Instead of lending out 22.5 million as what the theory says they should. They are clever. They say, no. Instead of keeping 10%, we're going to give. We consider this is 10%. And when we say 10% is 25 millions, that means another 90%, 225 million are available to be offered as a loan. So that's the reason why we have 225 million here. It's not even considering multiplying how many times a loan get to be loaned out. Not yet, notwithstanding. Just merely taking in deposit from depositors, 25 million. So instead of consider this is the full amount that we have, the bank are saying this is the 10% that we have. So if 10% is 25 million, so therefore we have 90 more percent, 25%, 10 million. So that means we have another 225 million to be loaned out to borrowers. So therefore, when we add up 25 plus 225, we have 250 million, or a quarter of a trillion, 250 million in order to give out as loans. So this, because we cannot now balance the left side and the right side. So therefore we have to insert a balancing figure, 225 million, and we call it credits into deposit account. Actually, there's no credit. This credit is created out of nothing, out of thin air. And that's how the banks work. That is why, if you don't trust me, you can ask your docent. Every now and then, the bank would come and say, Bapak Eda, Bapak mau beli mobil baru, bisa aja pinjam dari bank, kita ada promosi istimewa, dan sebagainya. Hanya menunjukkan uang itu banyak, uang itu, because bank created it out of thin, poof, abracadabra, and it's just money just created. Because the last time, I will explain to you in a while, before, when we were using gold reserve system, you cannot create additional money until you put gold, additional gold in your reserve. Nowadays, since we introduce fiat money, no longer required to do that. And everybody, that is why when I was studying in the state, when I was younger than your age, when I was 19 years old, I went to the state. And I wonder how come the cars that are selling, they sell cars, they say 0% interest. So I was just like amazed. Wow. In a non-Muslim country, they even practice the halal way of raising or giving loans. 0% interest rate. I was impressed. How can they survive? How can they make money when they sell, the price of the car is equivalent to the price of what the car cost them? When people do business, people will need to mark up. That's why we call it profit margin, by certain percentage, by certain amount, to make sure that we cover for our operating expenses, for our rent, our salary, and whatnot. How come, what business model do they have that they don't require a return? This is absurd. This is ridiculous, but it's good. It's good for the consumer, I was thinking. At that time, nobody has taught me about the monetary system. Now only it makes sense why they are giving 0% interest rate. Because the more you borrow money, the more they can create new money out of thin air. Poof, abracadabra, then the money just there. Is everybody on board? Everybody could understand what I'm saying about? Or I'm just talking to myself? If you have question, do ask me.
Yeah.
Again, I like to bring a bit of history, because if you don't learn history, we never know what is happening. Those were the days just after the World War I. They come up with the so-called Bretton Woods Agreement. This is a system through which a fixed currency exchange is created using gold as the universal standard. Gold was the basis for the US dollar. So if you want to buy 1 ounce, or those days they measure not metric system, but they use imperial system, 1 ounce of gold equivalent to how many US dollar? And other currencies in the other parts of the world, including us, Malaysia and Indonesia, then our currencies are pegged to the US dollar. So we have to say, oh, 1 US dollar, how many value of rupiah, how many millions of rupiah, how many ringgit of Malaysia, equivalent to $1 of US. So this is what happened just after the First World War. What happened then in 1971? President Richard Nixon, the US president at the time, decided to suspend or do without the Bretton Woods Agreement that the world has already signed back in 1944. Why? Because at the time, America was engaged in a Vietnam War. So America ran out of gold to issue more money needed to finance their Vietnam War and their budget deficit. So President Richard Nixon then proposed, if you are agreeable to trade, all international trading be paid in US dollar, then we will lift off the requirement that every time you want to issue additional money, you have to put equivalent gold into the reserve. But you can only do that if we're all in agreement that in order to do international trade, in order to pay another trader in a different country using US dollar, even the Nixon then persuaded Kingdom Saudi of Arabia at the time, I think it's King Faisal, I think I could be wrong, to agree that if Saudi agreed to accept this, then to accept that the only means of payment to buy oil are US dollar. That's what they call it, petrodollar. If we all agree to buy, then America will guarantee the security of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia from any threat. And because of that, I think it's King Faisal. If I'm wrong, I apologize. Please check. Don't take my word for granted. I could be wrong. King Faisal at the time agreed to sign and agreed to use US dollar as a petrodollar. If you look here, at that time in 1970, President of Indonesia was President Sukarno. just after independence. President Sukarno was the first Indonesian president. I'm sure you know history very well, more than I do. When this proposal was made, everybody kind of agreed, including Malaysian Prime Minister. The only 2% who decided to go against, excuse me, the two presidents decided not to agree or to oppose the idea was President Sukarno and French president. Can't remember his name. So these are the two, because they could see far and beyond, see how wise is President Sukarno at that time. He could see the implication of agreeing to this. But unfortunately, many of the world leaders just reach their blind spot. They cannot see. I'll come back to this point later. So since then, in 1973, we have money that we call fiat money. Fiat money is just this paper money, or not just paper money, any form of money, electronic money, digital money, whatever money that do not have the backing of real asset. So that is termed as fiat money. So since 1973, any country can issue any amount of money that they like without having gold in their reserve. Therefore, this effectively gives this country a right to create money out of thin air. And government only give guarantee if you bring this paper, if it's, if it's not a counterfeit paper, not a counterfeit money, then we promise that we're going to honor the value as shown on that piece of paper. So in other words, the government give their trust to whoever bears this money, that they will honor the money and give the reciprocal amount for goods and services. Unfortunately, government has that right, but government has given that right to create more money to private banks, as you are seeing now. So as banks give more money in terms of borrowing to whoever wants to borrow money, then they have the chance to create additional more money equivalent to the borrowing that they have released. So that is why the bank are saying, please, come take our credit card. The more you spend money in your credit card, the more bonuses you get. We even give you cash back. Who in the world would say, take my money, spend, and I'll give you more money for spending more money of my money? That's ridiculous, isn't it? There must be a catch. So the catch is that if you borrow more money from them, then they can create more money out of thin air. You use 500, they can create 5,000. You use 5,000, they create 5 million. So therefore, they do not mind sharing the 5 million, they give you $50. Just a fraction of what they are enjoying. So this is what is happening in the world right now. Because the money has no asset backing. Since 1973, every 10 years or so, we will have crisis. We have economic crisis in 1986, 1988. We have Asian financial crisis in 1997, 1998. We have subprime crisis 2007, 2008. Before that, in year 2000, we have dot-com bubbles, they call it. And then we have COVID-19, 2019, 2020. And soon they are predicting there will be another one. Because this system, this monetary system that I am showing with you is no longer sustainable. Because everything that they've created is just bubbles. I'm sure you play bubbles when you were small. How long can a bubble burst? How long can a bubble remain without being burst. 1, 2, 3 seconds, and then floop, it just went off. So this is what happened. Here is the green line is our real economy as measured by our gross domestic product. And this is the amount of money that we kept creating. So money and debt grow exponentially, exceeding the growth of real economy. Together with interest rate, remember we put future value equals to present value multiplied by 1 plus interest to the power of the period. So these are the discounting process that we often use. And because of that, the amount of loan and money that we have created has gone up so much. Look at this line. And the gap in between the green and the red line, this is, remember earlier I told you M multiplied by V equals to Y times P. So this is P. This is the inflation. This is the asset price bubble. This is the cost that are widening the gaps between the rich and the poor. So every time, every 10 years after 1973, now already like this, so this bubble will be burst soon. When the bubble is burst, whatever you have here will be brought down to your real economy again. This is what we call the resetting process. However, in this resetting process, many people lose their saving. So when the bubbles burst from here to here, the value of, let's say, at the moment you can buy 1,000 rupiah, a loaf of bread. I'm just making it up. When this bubble bursts, you need 5,000 rupiah just to buy one bread. It becomes 5 times more. So in other words, the value of your money you thought in your banks, you keep 20 million rupiah. That 20 million rupiah after this crisis will only worth like 4 million rupiah. So if you're rich people, you have trillions of dollars, so you lose, let's say, 20%, you still have 80% left. But if you're poor, all you have is just that 2 million rupiah. That 2 million rupiah now is dropped to just becoming maybe 80,000 rupiah. That is not livable. Suddenly you become so poor. And that's the reason why we have more people turning from poor to hardcore poor, because the value of loss is not the same to everyone. The poor experience the greatest loss. So real income fall are not the same for all. Money does not grow equally in everyone's pocket, but inflation affects everybody. This is the reason why some were pushed from poor into poverty, because money only circulates among the rich in society. So now you know that how come Israel, after we boycotted all the products, after they used up a lot one day of their striking, bombing the Gazan, that is like how many hundreds of millions of dollars. Have Israel ever faced bankruptcy? They lose their money? Don't their money get depleted? Money get less and less because they are buying all these bomb, artillery, tankers. Why are they not affected? Now you know the answer. They can create money because they are the one who created the system. Study who own IMF, who own the World Bank. IMF, World Bank are not public organization. They belong to private individual people. And now you know where did they get their money to finance all this war. I don't have to tell you, now you know it already. So let's move to another topic similar to that. Let's say if you have lots and lots of money, what would you do? What would you buy? I'm going to go traveling. I'm going to sign up for Elon Musk's program Space Moon, SpaceX. I'm going to tour the world. Then if you have money left, what do you do? Of course, majority of people would say they're going to buy, I'm going to buy a wife. Okay, you bought your wife. I'm going to buy my husband. Okay, you bought your husband, you got yours already. So what's next? The most systematic answers, majority of people will say, I'm going to buy property, I'm going to buy houses. So I'm going to keep them as investment, or I'm going to buy stock. So I'm going to make more money out of it. So again, this is what people would normally do. So I'm just going to compare you. I'm not sure whether you know some of the states in Malaysia, but these are the information that I extracted from Khazanah Research Institute, that is investment arm of Malaysian government. And you look at Malaysia as whole, this is a monthly median income. That means they got 5,228 ringgit Malaysia a month. And the annual median income is 62,000. Their median market for all this property, this is a median market price. And median for all house price is this. So this ratio, what we call affordability ratio, means if between 3.1 to 4.0, moderately unaffordable, 4.1 to 5 is seriously unaffordable. Above 5, we consider them to be severely unaffordable. Majority of you would know Kuala Lumpur. Let's see Kuala Lumpur. Where does it sit? Kuala Lumpur is here. Monthly median is high, 9,073. Annual median income. Median income means the middle income. Market price, of course, this is way back in 2016. Now everything has double, triple. But I'm just showing you an example. So you look at the affordability index 5, seriously unaffordable. So let's see the severely unaffordable category. Which countries are on the top of it? I'm not sure if you know Kelantan. Kelantan is the next state next to Thailand, but in the east coast, facing the South China Sea. Kelantan is a very poor state, not much as reflected by the amount of income. I think they have the lowest income, 3,079. And look at their prices, still cheap. But when you compare affordability index, when you look at their price of the house over their income, you see they stands at 5.5, meaning severely unaffordable. Many people in the state cannot afford to have a house. So I am saying here, effects on the property sector. Prices of houses keep rising. Even in crisis, in a glut, they keep going. Whereas some people's real income are falling, are getting smaller and smaller. Housing are getting more expensive. So this created a situation where housing becomes unaffordable. People do not have home, and we call it homelessness. And therefore, low-cost housing becomes a necessity. The government has to look how to help them. So because of this, because of rising prices, the house becomes smaller. Those days, houses were bigger. Now, houses become smaller. The loan gets longer. Those days is only over 20 years or 30 years. Now it runs over more than one generation, 40 years loan before you finish paying for your houses. That is absolutely ridiculous. How can you expect, when you buy, you expect your children or your grandchildren to pay off the debt of your house? Maybe you also gone debt and the house is not yet paid off completely. So this is a serious issue. All this arises because of this rises in housing, because of the monetary system. Homes are becoming unaffordable simply by the structure of the monetary system. We cannot afford because of this monetary system that we have. So we have rising household, business, and government debt. Our debt burden is getting bigger. So look at this picture. This is where the rich stays, and this is where the poor stay. So the gap are widening even. So nobody cares about taking care of the environment because they don't have job. Everything's so expensive. They don't care. Those are just secondary. People throw rubbish about, and this rubbish becomes a source of unsustainable environment. And we have aging society. Nobody is going to take care of the elder people. Economy, recession. When recession set in, we anticipate recession will be happening soon. We have a lot of people becoming unemployed. So you said yourself just now that you anticipate upon graduation, you're going to have some difficulties getting job. Inflation are getting bigger, rich are getting richer, poor getting poorer. Houses becomes unaffordable. So because everything is so expensive, people become calculative. People said, hey, we cannot afford to have many children because who's going to pay for their education? Where are we going to stay? If we need bigger houses, we can't afford. So population started shrinking. Look at Japan. They don't want to get married. They don't want because they are scared of this burden. Look at Singapore. They don't have people working for their army. So they cannot contract out their security to some expatriate. So who's going to be in the event of an outsider or external party invading Singapore? Who's going to fight? They're just going to leave and go back to their country. So they have labor shortages problem. So they have people who live longer, but nobody to take care of them. So that's why Japan invented robots to take care of human. And because people don't have job, they resorted to crime. So security become issue, and now around even in Indonesia, if you look around, you have more what we call gated community. So you are separated by the gates. You don't even talk to your neighbors sometimes, let alone those outside of your gate. So therefore, we split between the poor and the rich. Politics-wise, because of this, we don't have money. We have to get loans from World Bank, from IMF. So some way or another, we lost our sovereignty. So people control. This is a new form of colonization. We have conflicts and war like we are seeing now, and we have sectarian tension. People don't care about the environment because their priority is to fill their tummy. They have to work to put food to table. Who cares about destroying rubbish and taking care of the environment? So this is where it all began, because of these are the consequences of monetary structure. So thus far, what I have already mentioned to you guys, increasing inequality in wealth and income distribution, creation of poverty, housing, unaffordability, all these are simply because the structure of the monetary system. Okay, I'll stop here. Later, I have a lot more to talk, but I think we stop here. Take stock, see whether you all understand what I'm saying. whether you can connect, whether you can reflect. Look, I'm not saying this to you as part of something that you must pass for the exam. It's not important. I'm saying exam is secondary. Knowledge is far more important than exam. Of course, passing exam is an indication of having understood the issue, the knowledge. But if you don't understand, if you don't make attempt to try to understand, bye-bye. You'll be gone.
Yeah, what an interesting discussion, bro.
Yep.
Uh,
I would like to stop now
yes.
so that we can have a little bit discussion so that you can understand what I'm saying. Please.
Thank you. I think it's mindful and impactful for me, and also I hope for your my students. And we not just make a journal entries, but also the society and economical impact for what we just entries. Yeah, we just make a book entries on my journal. So I think it's beyond the accounting or beyond numbers, but it's should be society, it should be our future, and also for our safety and planet and so forth. Yeah. Okay. It's time to discuss what the discussion have delivered from Prof. Fauziah. Okay, I will give you time to talk or any feedback and question for the material from Prof. Fauziah. Okay, please.
Maybe I would like to ask first to Prof. Fauziah.
Okay,
Please.
what's the
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank Prof. Fauziah for the materials that are given. It's been an honor for us to have you here. So I have a question that comes from my personal concern. So with all the challenges and that you present earlier about our current global challenges and including the rise of AI, the monetary system works and the poverties, the job, the competitiveness. So how can we as an accounting students contribute meaningfully as I mean to make a difference uh, in that part? And additionally with the high competitiveness, how can we stand out and bring out a unique value as an accounting student? Because a lot of I would say a lot of accounting scholars that apply to accounting, so there are a lot of amounts or numbers in accounting students. So how can we stand out and bring unique value? And I would like to ask a last question: is Malaysia is facing similar challenges regarding to the accounting field, like the job and the accounting students cases? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Excellent. Good question. Good question. This phenomenon that I'm describing to all of you is not just unique to a particular country. It's the world. It's a world issue. And you must understand why Donald Trump is doing all this, why Indonesia is facing a higher tariff than Malaysia, than Singapore. To me, the higher tariff signifies better position. I'll explain. Of course, it means hardship, things are getting more expensive. But you must remember that is as far as if Indonesia going to send your products to the US. If other countries do not behave in the same manner, that means we do business as usual. We just don't sell to US. Do you think US is going to survive? They will not. Even like Canada already switching off some of the energy because the farmers depend on energy from Canada, especially the northern part, next to Canada. The states of the US that are neighboring with Canada, they depend on Canada energy. If Canada decided they're going to put tariff as well in order to reciprocate what Trump did to them, then the farmers can no longer afford to run their business as usual because the price is going to be doubly expensive. Soon they'll be out of business. So even like Canada say, hey, why should we give you full energy when we need more? So we just going to give you half a day. You think they're going to survive? They're not. So if you look at Geoffrey, professor from Harvard, Professor Geoffrey, Professor Jeff is saying that's a stupid move. Everybody is saying that's a stupid move. I was thinking, hey, do you think Trump did not know that? I think what they have in mind, I could be wrong. I think they really want to have a World War III. They really want to pursue World War III. That's why they are pushing this. The moment tariff came into picture, everybody, not just the US, everybody is going to suffer because everything is going to be expensive. Our monetary system is going to kill us. The moment crisis set in, whatever money in your saving, if you do not convert them into real asset, you're going to remain zero value, not zero value, but maybe from 100%, you only have 20% left. So you lose 80% of it. So the number one thing that you should do, you should advise your parents, hey, convert all your cash into real asset. Then start thinking, hey, if World War is coming, I recommend you to go to YouTube and listen to Sheikh Imran Hussein. Let me write here so that you can, where is the notes? Is it notes here?
There's chat box.
Chat box, I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Yeah.
What is it called? Notes?
The chat. The
Okay,
writing
chat. I can see the chat. Okay. Somehow my chat doesn't work. Oh, okay. You go to YouTube and look for videos by Sheikh Imran Hussein. So he is an ulama. He is an expert in eschatology, the end of time. But what I like about him, he's also have two PhD in monetary economics and also in international politics. So he can explain what is happening in the world right now from the perspective of Al-Quran and also from the perspective of monetary system. So you can look and he will explain. So for you guys, of course, that is a very pessimist way of looking at things, that the war is coming. But it's true. If the war is coming, we need to make sure our food security is there. We have enough stockpile. Because in Indonesia, there are billions of you guys. So can you imagine the rush? We will kill one another for food. I mean, this is the worst case scenario. But responding to Jay, putting those aside, putting those negative perspective aside. So coming in as a student or graduating, how can we stand out? Of course, you can stand out provided that first and foremost, whatever you've learned, you must understand them. That's basic. So a lot of students, they only carry with them the certificate. But certificate does not really reflect what they have inside their heart. So to me, if I am the employer, the first thing that I look beyond qualification, first I look at degree or what you have. Next, I will look at your attitude. Because students or graduates with good attitude anytime can be trained and retooled to become somebody better. If you have the right attitude, you will excel in life. What do I mean right attitude? That means you are open to learning new things. You are punctual. So when you are in a meeting, you never remain quiet like in this class. There are 80 or 90 of you are here, but how many are speaking up? If you don't speak up, you don't stand out. So you need to speak, but speak not for the sake of speaking, just not for the sake of becoming visible. Before you talk, you must have a good thought process where you have already thinking through in your mind. And then when you say things, you contribute to the extend discussion. You look, oh, he understands. He can follow what I'm saying. So, oh, that's good. So those are the stand out. This is why, Eda, if I have your permission, this is a company that I've asked the youngsters to set up. I'll share with you I'm sorry. Is the slide is with 1 minute, yeah? Can you see? No?
As part of Skills for Success, Values for Life, the title.
I'm not sure whether it's not coming. Can you see?
Yes, it's moving.
It's working, alhamdulillah. So this is a company that I asked the youngsters to set up, because this company will transform people like you when they, so let's see about this. You can go to whispertalent.com and see what is it about. Empowering professional and fresh graduate, particularly from the underserved community. So we offer this kind of training so that you can transform your life. And one of the things that we have here, the courses that we have here, if you look, for instance, we have here interview, mastery, stand out, get hired. Let's say we go into it and see, this is what we thought our student here, you know, what we do. And then we tell them the interview approach, how to have your personal branding, how to set yourself apart from other candidates. So these are, so we can also arrange this, Eda, if you want, so that we can go there and share with your students if you wish to learn. There are many more. So all you have to do, go to whispertalent.com. For those who are really, really poor, we offer this course for free. But of course, they must be in Malaysia. But we can also arrange that if you want to in Indonesia, Eda. Yeah. So not just that, we have so many other courses. For instance, the art of memory retention. So you learn how to have this technique, you know. So many, many more. So like if you want to do presentation, how to be impactful so that people remember you, the art of impactful communication. So we have that. So we can also, and we teach you all of this. All right?
Yes.
So if you want to know detail, go to whispertalent.com and you can look into this. Coming back to Jay's question, Jay, those are my takes. So you need to be equipped with the latest tools. You need to learn all the AI, the generative AI. So what are the tools that are available to simplify your works? All must have. And then you must be able to speak good English. That's why I said investment is extremely important. Nowadays, we talk about English. So if you can spend money, enroll into classes, be in courses where you can build your confidence, you definitely will stand out. But more importantly, what people have never thought, which I thought of offering a course later when I retire, is to really the thought process. How do we think inside our brain and how do we say it out clearly and simply so that people can see that you can connect to the topic of the discussion. So that can also be done. But for now, Jay, concentrate in getting your course completed, involved in a lot of extra curriculum activities, because that's where you learn your soft skill. In your spare time, learn the additional. There are a lot of micro-credential, a lot of MOOC courses in which you can register for free and get certification for. So those are very important. If you have money, then invest in your confidence. How do we speak with confidence? So that is also important. So then when you write your resume, that's why I showed you that slide. Write your resume, we must know what to write and what to put. Not everything, but just what the companies are looking for the job that you're applying. I hope I've responded to you, Jay. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you, Fauziah, as your response. And if I may recall, so we have to, prepare for the worst and regarding in general problems. As in my family, should, buy the real assets instead of money. And as for my personal, I would like, I have to stand out and, as you said, not to speak for the sake just to speak, but you have to think through about it.
Right.
Thank you, Prof. Fauziah.
Attitude. You forgot to mention about attitude. That is very, very important. Okay. Any more questions? Yep.
I want to ask something, sir.
Okay. Yes, please. Lisa.
Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Fauziah, for the material you given. That's very mindful and very insightful for me. One thing that I want to ask is, because here we are also study about the accounting theory, probably I want to ask about the function of our accounting standards. As you have explained earlier about the monetary structure, and you have also mentioned things like accounting magic or something, I wonder, do our accounting standards in our country have any linkage or relationship with this kind of monetary structure and issues? It's like, can our accounting standard be designed in a such way to address those economic problems, or are they actually created as a result of those economic issues otherwise? Okay, that's my questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anissa. I try to respond to your question. Let me try to understand. You are saying whether we can do anything, whether our accounting standard can be changed so that we can change the system. First and foremost, you must understand what accounting is. Accounting is just a language for business. A lot of business transaction that has happened is captured through these accounting entries, journal entries. So in other words, if you look at it, accounting is just recording and reporting. We don't change anything, just how to report, how do we record. That requires standard. Standard would tell us whether we're going to expense, or we're going to capitalize and amortized. So those are accounting. So to me, accounting is just based on the transaction that we have entered. We produce financial statement, and based on the financial statement, we try to make decision. So let's say the company intend to expand into another country. So is that feasible? We look at our financial report and we look at the amount of money that we have, and then we try to say, oh yes, we can afford because we have excess cash, we have cash flow available. So those are still, if you like, those questions are still revolving around what is already there and we just record. To do what I have explained to you, it requires more than just accounting standard. Yeah. Accounting standard is there just to say whether you should do this or should do that and how to interpret. That's all. But in order to change the system has to change, then our recording and reporting would change as well. So I'm not saying it's the accounting magic that I showed is not the fault of an accountant. We just, based on the transaction, we just record. But what I'm saying, because in our system, everything must be balanced. Asset must be equals to liability plus equity. If it doesn't balance, then we cannot close our books. So we must have a suspend account. And I showed to you earlier how the difference 225 million is created as credit deposit. We created an account just to balance off. So to me, those are not the solution. If you want to look for solution, so this is where I need to share a little bit slide, if you all do not mind, just to share, and I'll go over quickly. Hold on. This slide. Not this slide, sorry. Let me try to share one more time. Okay, I hope you can see them. So I'm just showing to you, these are some of the signs that crises are coming. Look at the debt. At the end of September 2024 is already $97 trillion, largely driven by these four countries, US, Japan, UK, and France. They have lots of debt. And soon, war and tension are escalating. Elon Musk and even Donald Trump, before he went in as a president, they are trying to sell their own version of cryptocurrencies. So here, the rise of cryptocurrencies, central bank digital currency, we call it CBDCs, they are all going to replace. This is what we see as the next coming. They're going to replace all this paper money with digital money. So, but unfortunately, this digital money not going to solve the problem, because the digital money will also be fiat-based. So that means they'll be creating more money. So this is not tenable. And all this sign of a looming crisis, if you look, they're all already happening. They're all already happening. I'm not going to show you one by one, but they're all already happening. So Israel war at the moment is financed by the so-called bogus money creation. That means money created out of thin air. So what we do when we trade with the US, we give our real asset For instance, if Indonesia is very good at manufacturing textile or shoes, where Nike opened its factory in Indonesia, so Nike shoes are being exported to the US. In return, what US gave to us is just a piece of paper, what we call IOU, T-bills. So at the moment, China is the biggest holder of US IOU. So should China decided to cash in all of it at once, the world will definitely go into extreme recession. This is what they are looking at, as I'm saying. So CBDC is coming very, very soon. They have already piloted some of this. China already piloted, Sweden already piloted, EU has already done so. So US have not, I'm not aware, but soon we believe it's going to be into that. So coming back to your problem, to your question, how do we solve the problem? So what the problem that we need is the fundamental solution, the one that will bring the red line back to the green line. Only if we can revamp our monetary system to bring in line with the green line, then only we're going to solve the problem. But let me tell you, they are not interested, because they know once if they want to bring this into green, they must be back with real asset, either gold, silver. We don't have enough gold to create more money. That's why they do not want, they want to do away with gold. In fact, the World Bank specifically said whichever country that try to use gold and silver as a money, then they will charge these people, because they strictly prohibited all countries from using gold and silver as their currency. And you know now why. So in other words, I hope I've answered your question. I wouldn't want to go because there's a lot more that we can talk here, you know. So the solution that we, in general, I'm talking about this solution is for this system. If the new monetary system is going to come in, they must be asset backed, because that's what Allah has said. So we must abolish interest rate. We cannot have interest rate, because interest rate is just creating something, not nothing out of nothing. You don't give service in return. You don't exchange good in return. So in other words, a person just pay extra for the honor of using your money and then return back. So this has got to be changed. So maybe not interest charges, but of course in Islam it's permissible to give some to charge some administrative charges and so on. So yes, accounting can be as I said, accounting is a language of business. So whatever transaction, business transaction, the resulting is recorded and reported in numbers as part of accounting. So we don't look at accounting as the problem here. Accounting is not the problem. The problem is the system. Accounting will just address and record as what has happened as part of transaction. Thank you. I hope I've answered your question.
Okay, thank you so much. Your explanation is clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, interesting. Thank you, Ansa and Jay. Okay, and anything can be discussed further? Anyone will also be feedback? It is interesting and should be for the discussion, Prof, because it's eager to ask to know. It's beyond.
I'm happy. I'm happy.
Yeah, thank you, Prof.
I devoted my time. If you want to ask more question, please.
Okay.
Even if it's outside what we are discussing, is something general that you like to know, I'd be happy
to
respond to your question.
Okay, anyone?
So I'm not sure, like I would like to ask question. Like all of you here, students, are they interested to pursue professional qualifications after they have graduated? Meaning, when they finish studying at Gajah Mada, do they sit in for professional exam with international bodies, or is just with Ikatan Kantasi in Indonesia? I'm not sure.
Yeah. In our study program, we give them opportunity to take a national level for public sector accounting certification, Prof.
Certificate.
So,
They have
yeah,
to sit for the exam.
yes, from the National Accounting Association. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Any?
Good. Okay.
Okay.
If there's no more question, I thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Prof.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to get to know
Yeah.
all these anak-anak seperti anak saya juga.
Alhamdulillah, ini ibu kita ini ya, Prof. Fauziah.
Ya, mudah-mudahan Allah memberi taufik dan hidayah, dipermudahkan urusan di dunia juga
Amin.
akhirat.
Amin.
You know? Tapi kita harus motivasi, harus tinggi. Kita mau mencapai yang terbaik. Nah, itu perlu. Saya sudah mengajar di merata dunia. Di Vietnam juga di merata. Rata-rata saya melihat pada pandangan saya, Indonesia dan Malaysia itu perlu bekerja keras. Bekerja keras. We must be willing to speak up. We must be willing to work hard. Because the beauty about, again, I'm assuming majority of you are Muslim here.
Yeah.
If you're Muslim, then you are already, half of the attitude problem is already solved.
Yeah.
Although as a Muslim, a true Muslim, 100% is guaranteed to be good. But we
Yeah.
may not be there just yet. But don't be afraid of hard work. Look for possible opportunity for attachment. Maybe you can go on exchange for 1 semester so that you can see the other countries and how it works. You know, I'd be happy. If Gajah Mada wants me to connect to some of the universities in Vietnam, you know, I can try to use my contact.
Yeah.
For that, inshallah.
Yeah. Thank you, Prof. We also try to facilitate them to give opportunity outside and interact with the global student and also in the movement. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Fauziah. Maybe this is the first session, and we will see next week in the other issues about ethics, maybe.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think, please, Prof. Fauziah, applause for the session.
Thank you.
Fauziah. Yeah.
Thank you, Eda. Inshallah,
Okay.
I'll see you around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you, Prof. Yeah. We'll close.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih ya semua ya. Besok kita ketemu lagi. Mungkin perlu agar engage ya. Nanti buat resume lah ya. Biar ini ya. Ya nggak harus semua ya, apa yang impactful, apa mindful. Nanti yang bertanya biasanya lebih mengingat apa yang ditanya dan jawabannya. Tapi kalau enggak ya yang lain mohon kira-kira diterima, yang didengar apa, nanti buat resume ya untuk sesi ini ya. Ya. Nanti kita akan follow di kelas. Oke, terima kasih semuanya. Kita ketemu lagi besok. Demikian dari saya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.